Hi everyone, this is Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are spending an hour sped up in my rainbow art journal. Okay, so first off, I recorded this video quite some time ago and I've put off doing the voiceover and the editing on it just because I really struggled through this hour. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't having a good time. The ideas weren't coming. It was just difficult. So I'm going to try my best to remember what I did and what my thought processes were when I did this page. And I hope it turns out okay in the end. So first off, I had cleaned something off on that page and it was kind of neon. So I thought I would make some neon streaks across the page. So I just put a couple of colors of neon paint onto my page, and then I just used a piece of plastic and I swooped it across the page to try and I don't know, make it look nice. It didn't look nice in the end. I hated it. So I found this little bit of collage paper floating about, and I decided that I would just tear that up and stick it onto the page. And then because it's got the triangles on the paper, I went in with my triangle little stencil from the advent calendar and just extend those triangles. I still didn't love it. And then I thought, okay, well, I've got no idea what I'm doing with this page. Let me add some line work and some doodles and draw. I think I did draw a little mandala there. Overall, I'm not fond of the page. It's definitely not my favorite thing I've ever created. But this journal is kind of just a let loose journal, and I'm really just trying to fill the pages with lots of bright colors and textures and pattern. And in the end, if it looks good, it looks good. But if it doesn't, honestly, it's just some time for me to decompress and put some paint on a page, you know? If that made any sense, I've got no idea. But that's kind of the thought process behind this little journal. So here I am just filling up some of the spaces, doodling and doodling, trying to create something that looks okay. You'll see me bringing this little strip of paper into the page probably 100 times during this process to try and find a place for it, because I made it a while ago, but I just haven't been able to find a spot for it. I suspect it's the colors of this paper pieces that I used that's throwing me off, because I think it's got some green and red in, and I'm not a fan. So I really struggled. It does find a home eventually in this journal. I was determined to get it into this book on that day, no matter what. So while I'm doodling, I'm also kind of trying to think about what I'm going to do on the next pages. And as I said, it was a struggle. But you know what? In the end, I did finish this little signature in the whole journal. So the rainbow journal, I think it's got 4 or 5 different little books. One has got lined paper, and then the others have a really nice thick watercolor or mixed media paper. The lined one I'm using as an actual journal, so to write down a couple of things. And then all of these others I'm just using as a kind of a throw it together kind of journal. So I also wanted to finish this one particular book on that day. So I just decided I will put my head down and put things together, and hopefully in the end it will be okay. So I've got this little box of scrappy paper, offcuts, paper elements that I haven't used, stickers from Arlene that, I've almost finished the sticker book, but there's still a few left. So everything that's extra that I don't quite have a spot for, I pop into that box, and every now and then I'll go and look through it and see if there's anything I can use in there. And I found this little off-cut envelope in there. I used the other part of it on a different page, I think in my previous video in this journal, and a couple of flowers. And I also made, when I tested my Wow embossing powders, I made this little thing that said play. Just with a paint pen, wrote out the word play, and I put some embossing powder over the top, and then I cut it out using I just cut a scallop around it, and I knew that I wanted to use that somewhere in the journal. So for now, it is in the pocket. No, it's not. I removed it from the pocket, and I put it back in. Eventually, it moves out of that pocket, and it becomes something entirely different. And I put something else in that pocket. So for now, at that second, I thought, okay, I'll just leave it there and see if I can find something else. Excuse me, my voice is so bad. My kids and I have both had the flu, and we've got this lingering cough that's just not clearing. So I apologize for the fact that I keep clearing my throat. So I had these, the pattern of the playing cards already on this page, and I thought just to extend it, I would draw through the stencil just with my paint pen, and then I also stenciled a couple of little ones with a sponge, and that's where this paper strip is going to go. Finally found a home for it. I can't say that I particularly love the page, but I am pleased that I used that paper strip. Then when I got a couple of new die sets from Marlene, I just mass made a whole bunch of them, and I also keep them in this little box. And then I thought I would stick one of them down in here just to get it used up. And I have that pre-made butterfly from a stamp. I do have a video somewhere of how I made that. I used Marlene's packaging, and I just added an extra bit of color to that butterfly, and a leftover little sticker. So a lot of my stickers that I have, I've actually put some UV gel over the top and baked it in the UV light, and it makes these beautiful glossy stickers or charms. I really, really like the effect of that. So that's just that one that says be the change. That's what I had on there. This was some paint that I had left over from another project, and I just plonked the paint onto the page just to use it up. Oh, I'm not done with this page. Apparently, I'm also stenciling some numbers in there. You can see that this video was a struggle for me. It was really a struggle to get the ideas going and to complete the pages and all that. So in my little box of goodies, I have this paper doll that I made with Marlene's April release collage book, and I think the moon face stamp. So I thought that paper doll would just live in that little envelope there. Okay, back to this page of leftover paint. I'm going to add some black stenciling in there, just to try and connect it to the page a little bit more. And then I will grab another die cut, and I'm going to stick that on. And I think I finish it off with a little quote. And as always, I do outline my quotes just to make them look like they belong onto the page. And then I added just a couple of white circles around some of those dots, and I thought that was quite cute. It brought just a different element to the page that I really enjoyed. I also had this little cluster floating around, and I can't remember if I used it. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. We'll see. I actually cannot remember what I did on that day because, like I said, I did do it quite some time ago. Okay, so for this page, I decided I'm just going to do some color swatches. I really like the look of color swatches. Not that I ever swatch out my paints or my whatever I get. I normally just use them and see what they do while I'm using them instead of swatching them out. So I'm using my paints that I already have open, and I'm just making kind of swatchy blocks going from the blues to the greens, yellows, and I think I'll do orange and pink probably. Yeah, there we go, oranges. A little bit of red, which is unusual for me to use. And then I'm going into the pinks. And yeah, I do enjoy the look of a swatched page. It's just, I don't know why, it just makes me happy to look at. I guess it's the colors, and maybe it's the idea of new paint that's been swatched out, even though this was not new at all. I'm also not particularly washing my brush in between the colors. Here and there, I'm just letting them blend. Giving it a quick dry. And then I'm finishing it off with a little ruffle that I had made previously. Always love a good ruffle. And I'm also going to add a little die cut. And to me, that was kind of good enough for this page. At this stage, I was getting really, really annoyed that I can't just get finished with this journal. Okay. I wanted to cover the journal because I did cover the other two as well. So I'm just going through this collage pack from Marlene's April release. This is the cut and paste collage book. And I found that beautiful floral paper. And I'm just simply going to stick it on using some wet glue. And I'm making sure that everything's stuck down nicely. And then I'm going to use that play embossed word sign thing over the top of that. And I thought, okay, well, that's good enough for me. A little flip through, and I also wanted to just finish off that last page. I can't remember what I did there. I guess we'll find out. I had these strips of paper again in that little green tub that I have. I think I made some tags, and the tags were too big, so I cut off a strip at the bottom of all of them, and I didn't want to throw them away, so they've just been floating about. So I'm cutting them into little squares, and I'm just going to make like a patchwork pattern on this back page. The only thing that I'm really particular, or not even particular about, but mindful about, is not putting two of the same ones next to each other. So I am trying to spread out the colors a little bit more, and I'm also turning them around sideways to make them a little bit more interesting. And I think I will outline them just to finish them off maybe. I am trying a couple of different elements to see if I can find something that works on there. I'm flipping through my quote book to see if there's something that can work. I wanted something that's like in the end, a word that ends with a phrase that has something with end. So I found this, and so the story ends, because it was the end of this journal. So I wanted to just, I guess, reflect that or show that that's the end of this book. And then I think I have one more left in that journal that I need to finish. So I think the plan is to sit down and make a whole bunch of new paper strips and clusters and elements, and then I will put them into the journal. So have a look out for that video coming up. Oh, there's 2 more left. Anyway, those are the close-ups of what I did. I hope this video wasn't too tedious to watch. It felt quite tedious to do. I'm sorry about that. If I haven't put you off completely, please subscribe to my channel, and I will chat to you again soon. Bye.